Guardians, we've picked up a high-gain transmission. Origin point is somewhere along the coast, near the Cosmodrome.
What is up, Guardians? This is Cosmodrome Radio, broadcasting all the way from here, all the way to Neomuna. This is the podcast all about Destiny 2 and everything about it. We hanging out every week talking about the game we love and how much it brings us joy and how much it brings us sadness sometimes. It's a very love-hate relationship, this game.
Honestly.
Don't forget you listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Audible, all those great places. And you can follow us on Twitter at Cosmodrome Radio. And if for some reason all those places that I just named are like just unbeknownst to you, and you are looking for the show, you can go to cosmodromeradio.com and find us there, and you'll be able to find a link to the show. All right. My name is Panda the Paladin. To my left, we have the man who finally got a day off on a Thursday. Praise the Traveler. We have Alchemy King. How you doing?
I'm doing fucking amazing tonight.
Excellent. Well, glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. And then to my right, we have the residential clan mom, the badass one herself. Tawa, how you doing?
I'm surviving. Got a little bit of a headache. Frickin' weather's driving me crazy right now, but other than that, I'm doing all right. How are you doing, Panda?
I'm all right. I was a little let down. Still trying to get that raid shotgun, but we'll get there eventually. Finally got the trace rifle crafted after getting the auto rifle crafted first, but we're getting there. We getting there.
That reminds me.
Really excited to hop on the game after this because apparently Quicksilver Storm is a menace right now in PvE. So ever since the patch came out, Quicksilver Storm is just demolishing everything. So I'm very excited to hop on the game. Real quick before we dive too deep into the conversation, we want to send our condolences over to the French Destiny 2 fans because well-known voice actor and comedian Sylvain Lemery, the French voice actor for Saint 14, passed away. He will be sorely missed, and hopefully someone can rise to the occasion to fill in for him. But we will wish all of our French Destiny 2 fans well wishes because they are losing out on a titan of grand proportions.
Yes, he was a very well-known actor in France and the French-speaking countries, and you know that's tough, especially so soon after us English speakers lost Lance. It's hard hitting the communities on either side of the Atlantic pretty dang hard.
Most definitely. So definitely keep French players in your hearts for a little bit because they definitely lost out on a strong character in him. We're going to go ahead and dive into some of the rough topics that have been hitting the Destiny community the past week or so, past 2 weeks rather, because last week when we weren't here, the Destiny community was dealing with the fact that finally, after a long 6 months of debate, Bungie finally came out and took a stand. We were waiting for Bungie to come out and promote their stance on the issue of third-party peripherals affecting gameplay. When it came, if you go back about 6 months ago to a previous Cosmodrome Radio episode, we talked about how the Cronus Max and the Cronus Zen and the Zim were basically ravaging Crucible. Apparently, almost for the entire lifespan of Destiny, it had been sort of in the background and no one had really paid attention to it. Only until well-known streamers that weren't named but were said to have been using it and started to make more light of it. And then finally, when Epic Games took a stand against it in Fortnite, you saw people looking to Bungie to ban these peripherals as well, because not only did they remove recoil, they made full auto a thing prior to Bungie making it a thing. They made aim assist quadrupled, if not fully maxed. That way you never missed a shot. Even when you go to the Cronus website, basically. Like it's just straight hacked. Like because it runs simple scripts in the background when like attached to your system.
Yeah.
That way, it gives the controller free reign, or even in some cases the PC full reign to do like beyond what it's supposed to be able to do. And as we previously talked about, the biggest stance in the community was that people were like sort of like grounding their foot on and like staying like making a whole mountain out of a molehill on it was accessibility. There was a great number of people saying, hey, I have a disability. I use this device, this peripheral to play the game and make it easier on myself. But then you actually saw other members of the Destiny community coming out who also had disabilities and said, hey, I use Microsoft's controller, or I use PlayStation's controller that is for people with disabilities, or I just find a way to make it work for myself. I don't use these peripherals that actually advertise hacking damn near when it comes to like playing the game. And we don't participate in that. And then as the 6 months sort of went on, you saw more and more game companies speaking out against it. Not only did you see Ubisoft basically saying, hey, we're not going to ban it, but if we detect you using it, we're just going to like triple, quadruple, quintuple the recoil on your stuff and make it so you just can't play the game.
Yeah.
And I thought that was hilarious. And then Call of Duty finally came out and said, "Hey, you know, if we detect it, you're just getting banned. We don't have time for it. We have enough hackers on our plate. If we detect it, we're just gone." I'm like, "Bet." And I will say, finally, with Bungie taking a stance on it, and you even saw, like in the TWAB, they were very much like, "We're not going to name the peripherals," but then the community managers on Twitter were like, "Here are the peripherals." And I was like, bravo. Like, it was very obvious that, like, because there was questions. There were people who were like, hey, what peripherals are you talking about? There were specific, like, casual players that had no concept of what the situation was. That wanted to know what was going on. And the community managers had to be like, hey, these are the devices. And then like, there was, you actually kind of saw, there was a minute subset of people who were like, oh, you're being ableist, you're taking away our stuff. But in reality, they were well-known hackers. And there was even and there was a well-known like PvP player that had been using Cronus for years. And he was like, well, I can't wait to see Bungie try to ban me about this. They're never going to catch me. And like well-known PvP players were calling him out like, here you go, Bungie. Here you go.
Yep.
Like do your thing.
Do your thing, Ben.
So it was just very entertaining to see. But I maintain the stance that I had a few like about 6 months ago, where I was like, hey, I will totally get behind like actual game companies, or even like third-party like game companies, because we saw like back in the day we had like Mad Cats and stuff like that. Granted, that stuff wasn't really well made, but it was still like third parties like hardware. And you still see like Glow controllers and stuff like that. I have no problem with third-party companies making devices for people with disabilities. That makes perfect freaking sense. But when you even look at the Cronus's website, they advertise enhancing your gameplay, and like they literally are like on the wall, like without actually saying it, like, hey, this is how you cheat in your video games. And it's so blatantly obvious. Like if they straight up were just like, hey, these are for like, because don't get it twisted. Ever since Bungie came out with the full auto setting, we've seen a rise of things like Crimson and Sidearms be very busted in PvP. And Peace of Mind, and like the guns that never
rifles too. Doing those challenges, like you can fire that thing forever. Like one of my favorite scouts.
You saw guns that never should have that kind of speed start having that speed, because not people are using the full auto setting even without not necessarily needing it. They can still press the button, but they're like, hey, if Bungie's gonna give us a full auto setting, we're gonna freaking use the full auto setting. So you're seeing people like you're seeing people manipulate that hardware, but Bungie is staying on the ground of, hey, and even they just announced today, or like it was yesterday, they're announcing more accessibility features like full auto melees. They're like, hey, we're standing on the ground that this is accessibility. We're not saying, hey, this is how you cheat in Destiny with full auto. Like, no, they're not doing that. They're like,
Right.
we may not like the full auto setting being accessible to everybody, but we're like, hey, like at least it's for everybody and not just like a few people. Like, because we don't know who has a disability. They're not like demanding you apply with your disability to gain full auto status. Like,
right. That's why I appreciate it. So you mentioned, casual players who didn't know anything about these things. Well, that's me, first of all. But second of all, I technically have a disability in my hands. I have arthritis. I have it's not rheumatoid, it's more of a genetic thing. So like I got it from my mom and my grandma. But I can't deal with having to the movement of constantly squeezing and unsqueezing the trigger. So when I found out that they were doing the full auto setting and having it be an intrinsic part of the game, just as another setting that you can turn on and off in your setting menus, like, heck yeah. I have friends with fibromyalgia who use this setting as well. And like, having that on something like a scout rifle or a hand cannon, which I never really enjoyed using until the full auto setting came along, that made things like PvP more accessible to me. It made shotguns more accessible to me. Well, I should say shotguns besides the ones that are already intrinsically full auto, like Lord of Wolves. Which is definitely one of my favorite shotguns because it was already intrinsically full auto. But now I can go in and, use my actual favorite shotgun, Fellwinter, and, actually enjoy it and, have a good time using a shotgun that I spent a heck ton of time trying to get, farming all the kills for the freaking masterwork and all that kind of crap up in the Leviathan. It took me 3 weeks to get all those kills up in the Leviathan before there was any sort of full auto setting for it. Now I can go in and just, go into a lost sector and enjoy using my shotgun. Enjoy being, having that power fantasy of having Fellwinter's gun, because y'all know I'm a simp for Fellwinter.
Alchemy, as somebody who is a hardcore PvP person, how do you feel about the devices, like Bungie finally taking a stand against it?
Honestly, they needed it because, like, whenever I did trials, either with you or randoms, like, we would run into people that would never miss, like, at all. And with there being snipers in the game and target lock immortal, they would just melt us, and you honestly couldn't come back from that.
Oh no!
That is very true.
And I'm glad that they're banning it.
Oh, there would be games where like you would watch the footage back and they would not miss a headshot. Like it would be as like it was that kind of like that's what it does. Like where it literally it can. Like let me like put that asterisk there. You can, because with these devices you choose what scripts to run. You choose what goes on there. So like that's why some people were saying, "Hey, I use this for accessibility for like full auto and stuff like that." But like and like for less recoil because I can't control it with my disability. There were some people who would only use those specific things. But then there would be people who would like crank the aim assist up and crank the recoil up. That way they would have, or lower rather. That way they could have like the perfect aim on a gun. And that's what sucked about it. And like people were saying for months and months and months and months, Bungie, you need to do something. And it like finally, like we got a tweet saying, "Hey, we're investigating this." And it's like, you're investigating, okay? And finally, Bungie released this in the TWAB. But what really concerned me about this specifically, and this like we saw footage from last week from Grenader Jake, like where he actually out-ratioed Bungie's tweet of, hey, post your favorite clips from Trials of Osiris this week. And he posted a clip of someone flying around the map with a full auto like grenade launcher and just like killing everybody. And it was like, wow, so we not only do we have to worry about Zims and Cronoses and whatnot, but we're still having prevalent cheaters in the game. And like, it's just like, so we're like, it really concerns me that, like we don't know who's still going to be using this technology. And there was the guy who said, "Hey, I can't wait to see if Bungie bans me." I remember there was a clip on Reddit like 2 weeks ago where someone's literal name is like "Battle Eye, come get me," where like he's just cheating nonstop. Where he was a Titan popping well or popping spectral blades. And he, like there was a clip of him just standing in like 3 wells, popping like every super in the game as a Titan, and his name was like "Battle Eye, come get me" or something like that. Like that's what's going on in the background. And granted, like Bungie's just gonna say, "Hey, do your due diligence and report them," but it's like, shouldn't you have some way to detect when a class is using a subclass they're not supposed to? Like, shouldn't there be like because I know that you have usage rates, like you've posted those usage rates before. So it like, while I really want to commend Bungie for finally taking a stand against it, it really bothers me that like it took this long because Epic Games put their foot down 6 months ago. B, we don't know if they even have the ability to ban those people. Granted that some people were posting like screenshots of, "Hey, congratulations, this person got banned," because there is a little message that'll pop up saying like this person's been banned for cheating. Yeah. But like, and like, so some people were posting that, but we don't know how prevalent and how well that will be maintained. So time will tell. And I very much want to commend Bungie for taking a stand. It took a long time. I'm just, I'm cautiously optimistic, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that absolutely makes sense, hon. Because like, there's only so much that they can do, and the fact that they're finally implementing certain things and actually taking a stand on it. Yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. I'm glad for it, because when people take advantage of something that is meant to be an accessibility option and they turn it into their own little device for cheating and screwing with other people, you've got to put your foot down and say, hey, we can't have this. The buck stops here,
Exactly. Okay, so now for the really hard topic. This is gonna be a rough one specifically for me because this is gonna suck. Okay, so towards the tail end of last week, which ironically would have been after we recorded last week's show anyway, even if we would have been here, so it would have been still us waiting till this week to talk about all this, and we've spent the last week watching all of this unfold. Bungie came out and posted this giant thing they said publicly last Friday. I'm gonna pull up the specific thing and like read it verbatim. That way,
it needs to be read verbatim.
I gotta like pull it
because
up
there's
quick.
context. There's context in what they posted, and then there's context in other things that have been posted in reply. But Bungie's initial thread needs to be read in context, so that way that is completely laid out before we get into any sort of additional discussion.
This is gonna be a really heartbreaking thing to even discuss. It's gonna be a pain in my my whole head. I almost said my left nut, but that's anyway. It's fine. But okay. I'm like scrolling through the Destiny 2 like Twitter because it's like a whole thing. Okay. Well, that's like way back. I missed it. It must be in the reply section. This is like horribly bad radio.
Start out with their original.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so This is one of like the few times that we will ever read verbatim because I don't want to get this confused. So, but the Destiny 2 team Twitter tweeted out, and also if you're not following the Destiny 2 team Twitter, where it's like literally at Destiny 2 team, you need to follow that Twitter because not only do the community managers have their own Twitters, like Hippie and like DMG used to be very spoken when he was part of the team. This is now officially the community manager Twitter. So, if you need to speak on it, all right.
If you need to contact someone from Bungie, you no longer at their personal Twitters.
Right.
They are not allowing for that. You at D2 team, Destiny 2 team, or you don't at all. Is basically what they want.
There's still people being crappy to the community managers, but it's whatever. Mm-hmm. You know who you are for being that kind of person. So. Yep. Community interaction and engagement is central to Bungie in our games. For years, we've invited creators and other members of the community to confidential summits to provide feedback on the future of Destiny. This is a beloved part of the process, but relies heavily on trust. Breaches of this trust could result in our inability to hold more summits. We take these breaches of extremely serious and are taking actions to reinforce our policies with those invited to these internal meetings. Now, as the conversation kept moving forward, the person who possibly leaked the information, so full transparency, Alchemy was if anyone heard it on the previous podcast, hinted at these leaks, and I said, no, we're not talking about this, but now we have to talk about it. So and we're not going to specifically talk about what was in the leaks. If you found the leaks, cool, good for you. You know more about the Season of the Deep than anybody else. But we're not going to talk about the leaks specifically. Alchemy, you know what you did. But specifically in regards to
all the chanclas at Alchemy.
Yes. But legitimately, there were screenshots of PowerPoint presentations that were leaked. Everybody knows what's going on with Season of the Deep. Everybody knows what the dungeon is themed after. Everyone knows what the weapons from the dungeon are. All this stuff. Well, not.
I don't follow anybody that leaks because I curate my timeline like a smart person.
Yes, but the information has been leaked. And it was very these screenshots were from a computer. You could see the whole person's taskbar. And Bungie came out and said, due to being able to confirm based on the person's streams and the screenshots, they compared everything. Plus, what we later found out, because Bungie came out later because of backlash, and we'll get to that in a second. Mm-hmm. Bungie came out and said that well-known GM, well-known PvE streamer in general, GM Sherpa, well-known PvE Destiny 2 streamer E. Coogan was the one, according to Bungie.
No, they did not say that. They never released the name of the leaker.
I apologize.
He outed himself.
He outed himself that Bungie accused him.
He outed himself in tweets, in subtweet replies, and things like that. But yes, they never named anyone. Right. They said that after doing a full investigation, they have identified the person who was the source of the leaks, that this person has been leaking for multiple years, and they have found evidence of it. And that was the end of their communication. They never said a name.
Because originally, they never said anything. And then Ikugan came out and said, hey, I've been banned. Bungie is accusing me of this. And everyone went, what? Everyone's like, what's going on? This doesn't make sense. Why would Ikugan do this? Or why would Bungie accuse him specifically? And then Bungie even came out and was like, we were able to match based on the evidence of the screenshots. Because if you've seen the screenshots, you know what they're talking about. They matched his taskbar with the thing. Well-known Forbes writer Paul Tassi had a crazy conspiracy theory that someone might have hacked Ikugan's computer. We're not going to get into all that. But but
yeah, that's kind of stupid in my opinion.
But as the week went on, you saw people start to rally to E. Hugin's side, like for E. Hugin, Bungie taking a look. This feels really weird. Why would he like he do this? He has no reason to go about this, and like no reason isn't like an exemption, like to why you wouldn't do something. Like, and honestly, at first when this first came out, I was in the bandwagon because it felt real weird that a game studio would come after a person of color. It felt real weird. It felt real out of pocket. And it just felt like, especially like he even posted like his screen of like how many hours he's devoted to Destiny, how many times he's like gone out of his way to Sherpa people and stuff like that. And he said it doesn't make sense why they would do this. But then after like a week, not really a week, but like several days of like the people, like different YouTubers, different content creators, like rallying behind him. There was multiple different discussions about it. Bungie came out with a second post, and this is their final post on the matter, because they came out and said, our security and legal teams have reviewed irrefutable evidence, including video recordings, verified messages, and images demonstrating a pattern over time that confirm the same individuals shared confidential information from community summits spanning multiple years. We are very disappointed to have learned this information and wish that things had gone differently with the person. We do not take these actions lightly, and we are confident in our decision. This is our final communication on the matter. So Bungie has like put the foot in the ground. They're like, no, y'all y'all are bandwagoning for no reason. We have multiple instances of this man doing this. Now, granted, to a certain extent, when it comes to the D2 League community, there's been a pattern to a certain extent of like paste bins going out. There's been screenshots that have come out. There's been multiple different, like, and now granted, there's people who data mine. We know people data mine and find things. People found Nezarek's model before the raid. Someone found out what the raid was before the raid came out. We talked about that in the raid episode. So like data miners find some of their stuff on their own, but to specifically have the leaks come out where you were like screenshot, like blatant screenshots were shown. It feels almost too spot on to me. But the fact that Bungie's willing to like because there were like EQ could even said, "Hey yo, why isn't Bungie like suing me if I did this?" And some people are like, "Hey, Bungie's doing you a favor, dog. Bungie could have been like Bungie could have did more than just ban you. They could have been straight up like, "Hey, we're gonna sue you because you leaked our information." Like they've been suing cheating companies left and right. They're not afraid to sue somebody, but they're doing you a favor. That way you can keep your integrity, keep your sponsorships, keep your partnerships, and go on to play something else. But it just feels weird that he's like drawing this line in the sand of like, Bungie's doing me dirty. Bungie has no proof, yada, yada. And like, because at first I was very much like I remember like Lucky said something where like taskbars can be fake, taskbars can be cheated. So I was like, okay, I can buy that because I can move icons for days. Like I can get behind that. So that was
my taskbar is never the same.
Right. Like I can get behind that argument. That's totally fine. But for Bungie to really be like certain that this person did this, and like I remember the person who posted these screenshots originally to like the Discords that people know about, like that person even said straight up, like, I don't even know EQGan. I don't know, like I'm not gonna like say where I got them because that would reveal the person who leaked them. But I don't even know this man. Like he like so like there's like it's not him. But so
there's some things I have some understanding on with regards to.
I'm conflicted. I very much want to get somebody else's opinion on this.
So I have not necessarily insider knowledge on Bungie because I'm not a Bungie employee and I don't go to their summits. They've never invited me. But I do have insider knowledge on non-disclosure agreements, which is what every individual invited to a summit is required to sign before they even enter the summit. Like you get an invite, and with that invite, if you accept it, there's an attachment with a non-disclosure agreement. As
Right.
someone who's worked in top secret military stuff before, because I am a former military intelligence analyst, I'm very well aware of what non-disclosure agreements include. And there's a very there's general non-disclosure agreements where you agree not to share anything that is shared with you. And then there are specific non-disclosure agreements, which disclose that you are not allowed to not only not share the information that you're given, but you are required to be completely silent on this information for a duration of time. You're not allowed to speak to any individual. That includes family, friends, partners, none of that.
You can't even tell your mama.
You can't tell your best friend or the person that you sleep with.
Like, unless they are affiliated with, like, because I remember when I had my comment podcast, like, you can't even, like, because I've signed NDAs with Netflix before. You can't, like, unless they are affiliated with your company or your website, you cannot tell them about what's going on until the embargo drops. And if there's no embargo, you just can't talk about that ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
As someone who was in military intelligence, I was required to sign multiple non-disclosure agreements, both at my intake in the military, as well as throughout my time in the military. Anytime I was given any sort of top secret material, I was required to not only destroy said top secret material after reading through it, but I was also required to sign a binding non-disclosure agreement. Some of those had specific durations, some of them did not. There are things that I still am not allowed to talk about, and I haven't been in the military since 2004. So it's been almost 20 years that there are things that I'm still not allowed to talk about. I can't talk about them. I can't even talk about them to my kid. So, and ironically, a lot of the stuff that I'm not even allowed to talk about is no longer valid because that was all military intelligence from during the Iraq war, the war on terror. It's no longer valid information, but I'm still not allowed to talk about that because it's secrets. It's like that, that Minecraft server where people were posting up freaking military secrets.
That still cracks me the hell up.
And that stuff's new,
So, like, what is your opinion on the matter itself, though? Like, do you think he did it, or
So I, before all this happened, I had, like, I'd never been in on any of EK's streams or anything like that, but I had never had any negative interactions with him. I'd had interactions on my Tower Mom Twitter as well as my personal Twitter before I started my Tower Mom Twitter, and he seemed like a great guy. What I think probably happened is he got too excited, told a friend about it, maybe shared some screenshots from what he had taken and sent it to, like, a friend or family member, and they shared it, and Bungie got a hold of that person, and that person was like, yeah, I kind of had these things from this guy, and yeah, he's kind of had this thing going for a while. And so what I think is that they did their investigation by speaking to some, like a second party or a third party, and that person was like, yeah, I kind of got these things from this guy, and yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking, because I've never had any negative interactions, anything that made me think that he was doing anything, sus or anything like that with the guy. But when he started, going straight after Bungie, it's like, dude, you are not doing anything to help yourself. You need to shut your mouth and stop gaslighting the community, for one, And 2, you need to stop making it worse. All you're doing is digging in your own hole.
Yeah.
You know?
So okay, so like up until all this happened, I very much respected EK in terms of what he did in the community. I've seen his streams. I've been a follower of his TikTok for a long time, and as I'm watching all this unfold, it felt really weird. It felt like the way, granted, the way Bungie kind of like threw it out there, it felt real. Like, what's going on? Like everybody's like,
Right.
who's the rat? Who's the one who did it? And then EK put the spotlight on himself. And it was like because Bungie gave like whoever did it the immunity, like the anonymity to be like, hey, I'm just gonna leave. But the fact that he said something feels very off. It feels very much like either like because there is like a good chance that he's being framed out the wazoo. I'm willing to leave like 1% on the 99 on the board for that. But for Bungie to make the stance they did, it really paints a picture of the situation. And the fact that he's like shouting from the rooftops that he's a victim and whatnot, like Tower said, it makes me very much like I want to believe him so badly, but it's like the way he's going about it, like, and I remember there was a statement that somebody made. Hold up, there was a statement that like a well-known person made about the situation where they said like the industry talks. You burn a bridge.
Oh yeah, they do.
That burns.
They do.
Like if you burn one bridge, that burns a lot of bridges. So you don't want to burn one bridge and then think you're Gucci. So it very much Griffin Bennett said it, and I was very much like that makes a lot of sense for him to come out as one of the social media people for Bungie and say this really says something, because everyone could have just been like, no, we're not going to talk about it, we're not going to say nothing. But for them to be this firm on it, it really paints a picture of what's going on. Because they could have been like, hey, we messed up, we'll reinvestigate, but they didn't. And that's what feels weird. Because Bungie's been willing to admit they messed up before. So like there was even like recently with like people's characters being deleted, and like Bungie had to go in and recover that, and they've apologized for those glitches. So it feels
they
really
did a really
weird.
good job on being on top of that for as much as they were with regards to those character glitches.
Right.
But when they say and because of that, that's why I'm more inclined to trust them right now with something like this, because they have in the past few years they've been really on top of the ball. If someone has been banned for something that they didn't have to do with, say for example they were caught in a freaking PvP match with someone who was cheating, and say for example you and I, or say for example we go into sixes and someone on our team is cheating, has got a hack bot or an aimbot going, and the three of us get banned because someone on our team was hackbotting, and we bring it up to Bungie, we show them proof that we aren't doing anything wrong, that wasn't us. They're usually right on the ball, like, okay, we'll reinstate your characters, we'll get you unbanned, we'll do this, that, and the other thing that we need to do to get you back into the game. Because they don't want to lose players. They only want to lose those players that are taking advantage of the game, that are doing things illegal, and that are ruining the other players' experiences. And
Alchemy, how you feel about all this?
much more inclined to believe them now with
Alchemy,
stuff
how
like
you feeling?
Yeah, I honestly, I'm kind of, I haven't read much up on this, but I still think that it shouldn't have happened, even though there are the leakers. But like, if you sign an NDA, like, they have the potential to sue you back for those damages that you've caused.
It's a legally binding agreement.
Yeah.
It's like a rental contract. If you back out of your rental contract without giving any sort of notice, or you're not evicted, then somebody has the right to sue.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
You have the right to sue, and the fact that they were giving him an out, not giving any sort of names or anything like that, that's just, they were doing what they could to keep everyone's face, theirs and the cheater's face, and the leaker's face.
Right. So that's where we're gonna leave that. I'm willing to leave it open and see, like, hell, like EK, like, I will be more than happy just like to sit and talk and like see your point, because like he talked to Chassis. I'm like, yo, anybody can come on the show and speak their piece and speak their stance. I'm never gonna, like, unless you are like crazy, like you're a Nazi or something like that, I'm never gonna turn you away. You have a right to speak on what you feel like is an issue in the community. And if EK, if you want to speak on this, by all means, I'm not gonna say you did it. I'm saying if Bungie has proof, that looks suspect. That's what I'm gonna say to that.
Yeah.
Because that's where I'm gonna leave that. I like if it comes out that you didn't do it, bet I will wholeheartedly believe it and be done with it. But I'm very much like a 60-40 right now. I'm not gonna be like, you did it, you're a horrible person, get the heck out. I'm like, I really want to see you not be the one to do that. That's how I feel.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
Right, because for so long, and like this is specifically for me, because it felt good to see another brother in the community like speaking on issues and speaking like as an advocate for the community. It felt good. I felt like I wasn't alone, because like the main faces of the community are white. Like it feels like a letdown. It feels really bad to see someone I looked up to just like not do the right thing, but also I want to believe they did do the right thing. So like I very much want to leave the door open and be like, hey, if you didn't do it, cool. If you did do it, that sucks. Like, that's where I kind of want to leave that. All right. So, from all of that, let's talk about this patch, y'all. This patch.
I love this new patch.
So the new patch came out on Tuesday. The mid-season patch rolled out. And wow, there's some great things in the new patch, where not only are we seeing things like primaries being buffed across the board. Best dress combinations. Freaking all you duality farmers can't kill no more. You can't kill Golgoron over and over again. Primaries have been buffed over exponentially. I'm excited to mess with Quicksilver Storm after the show. Like there's some good stuff, but there's also a lot of bad.
So many connection errors.
There's connection errors.
Oh my god!
There was connection error issues before the show, before the
patch.
But now it's
audio.
Worse. Console players can't go into King's Fall. Console players are being kicked out of Pit of Heresy. Let's rattle off the list that Tassie posted. So grenade mods do not appear to be working with. Actually, no. Let me speak on that specifically. Bungie came out and said with this one specifically, they made it so grenade mods and melee mods can't work with Strand Grapple because they weren't originally supposed to do that, which feels kind of sucky because you can't regenerate grenade that well anyway, even with max discipline. Firepower and Reaper mods are not working for some reason. You cannot double or triple dip into Overload chest anymore, which Bungie came out and said, yes, no, you can't keep like going in and out of the zone and keep farming the chest anymore. They changed that. The Guardian Games statue.
The Guardian Games statue they took away my eagle. How very freaking dare them! Why they give it to the freaking hunters?
So Bungie. So two things are either happening. Either Bungie has revealed their hand that Guardian Games is rigged, and they were going to give Hunters the dub for Guardian games, because if you go to the tower right now, the snake for the Hunters is gold rather than the eagle right now. So people are speculating that
all this time, from us, how very dare.
So all this time, everyone's been starting to speculate that the Guardian games have been rigged, which really sucks because a lot of people were going to win the Guardian games for Lance Reddick this year and give it to the Titans, which that really sucks. So if that's true and Guardian games have been rigged this entire time, that really sucks. So
it so does, because you know, especially last year with the Guardian games, us Warlocks really worked our asses off.
Y'all really did. Y'all really
did. So for the first few Guardian games after they started with the whole like trophy and stuff like that, the Warlocks, we've been, you know, kind of okay to sit in the middle between the Titans and the Hunters and just kind of put up our hands and be like, all right, y'all. All right,
because what kind of happened for a minute was the fact that the Titans won the first year, which was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Then you saw
Hunters won the second.
You saw the Hunters come out in mass because Hunters are actually the biggest player base, but because they mained PvP, you didn't see that many coming out originally. But then once they wanted to win, they came out in droves and took it over. And then the previous year, Warlocks were given sort of like the leeway from both teams, like, come get your dub, you deserve your dub.
Yeah.
So if Bungie really have been rigging this the entire time, A, that's really messed up for people who wanted to root for Lance this year. But B, that means all of our efforts, all these medals have been for naught this entire time. So that really sucks.
Wait. Oh, they fixed it.
What?
They fixed it. Me and Alchemy are in the tower right now, and they fixed it.
So maybe it was a glitch. Maybe it was a glitch.
It was a glitch.
Maybe it was a glitch, but if Hunters win, it's sus.
Totally. I agree with you.
So apparently resilience is having issues. So across the board, people are saying that even in low grade content, resilience isn't working the way it's supposed to. So be careful in your GMs, kids. Raid banners are having issues. Radiant weapons aren't stunning barrier champions. Ashes to assets and like no longer like chains the same way. It's like a delay now for some reason.
Oh, okay. That really pisses me off because Ashes to Assets is one of the mods that is like incredibly important to my Strand Baby build.
Yeah. Well, Bungie
I need that to be able to make grenades, man.
Well, Bungie posted an extra thing yesterday where they said, "Hey guys, here's an update to some stuff we missed in the patch notes, but they have been updated now." So first thing, when Ashes to Assets and Hands-On are equipped together, players will only receive a super energy from one of the mods, not both. Next thing was when Firepower and Heavy-Handed are equipped, players will only spawn one orb of power, not two, when killing an enemy with a grapple melee. Grenade Kickstart will no longer activate when grappling to a grapple point. So basically, in general, like any grenade mod just doesn't work with grapple anymore, which is stupid.
I mean, that's fine for me. I don't use grapple, so
this is what affects you specifically. Reduce super gains from Ashes to Assets when getting a grapple melee kill after a grappling a point, which means so that's a big effect on just Ashes to Assets across the board.
Well, like I said, I don't use grapple. I use the baby nade because babies for days.
Players no longer have the Strand subclass equipped to gain unraveling rounds, so you can just use any Strand weapon to get unraveling rounds now, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
Heavy weapons will more consistently gain increased ammo capacity. So like if you have multiple reserve mods now for a heavy weapon, they more consistently will get more ammo. Fixed an issue where Fighting Lion was incorrectly benefiting from a void holster mod. That's terrifying. That's terrifying.
That is.
I ran into that a few times into trials last weekend.
The harsh language shotgun was now correctly activates void artifact perks. That's cool. fixed an issue where certain Gambit weapons were not contributing to Dark Arsenal Triumph. So Dredgens, there you go.
Yay!
Crafting progress now comes from the key chest, not from the base chest. Warlock exotic swarmers will now correctly create threadlings when a tangle is thrown and a player has a shackle grenade equipped.
Thank God.
Hunter armor Thunderhead grips can now correctly have appearance unlocked with Synthweave. I guess there was an issue with a specific headpiece. And then fall damage is now non-lethal to players, which was supposed to roll out with Lightfall, but they fixed it. So now if you jump down to the ground, you won't die, but now you're kind of like, you're still going to be at like 1 health.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing, but more and more people are noticing.
I've stubbed my toe in fucking precision with the fucking lifts.
Oh my God.
It's so funny. So
I remember day one, I fucking stubbed my toe twice in a row.
Frustrating to watch this man die on day one. Oh my God. So those were some of the things they mentioned in the patch notes, but still, there's just issues going on across the board, like the resilience thing, and like the different mods just not working together is just dumb.
Audio.
Audio, oh my God. So
yes, I've heard about that.
I was farming Garden of
horrible.
Salvation first encounter. And I got shot by the big boss Harpy while we were on babysit team, and I had fucking strand armor, and the minute the bullets hit me, I had to rip off my headset, because the normal
oh no, is it like the Golgoroth scream?
No, but the pings of the bullets hitting the strand armor is normally like a little like ripple effect sound, but like for some reason with the issue it cranked the ripple effect sound to like 90, and it was sensory overload. It was not a fun time.
That's what happened with King's Fall with PS4 and PS5 players. Initially, when King's Fall dropped, there was audio issue with Golgoroth.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And like, if you weren't prepared for it, like it was like Omnigol. It was like D1 Omnigol, like D1 Day 1 Omnigol screeching to like 1,000 is what I've heard. I've seen clips of it, and even with turning my phone down to like maybe 1 or 2 on the volume, it was still blowing out the speakers on my phone.
That's insane.
Like the YouTube clips. Yeah, it was crazy. I can't imagine that. Luckily, I haven't run across it yet, but damn.
But there's just issues across the board with audio, like different things glitching. You can't hear sound effects in certain cases. Like there's just a lot going on in the game right now that Bungie's gonna have to like address in a hotfix because it's just not a fun time. So that was the major things. The TWAB this week, they did tell us that this coming week is the final Iron Banner for the season. So if you have not gotten a good Hero's Burden or a good Wisdom Rebuke, this is your last chance to get them. We do not know if they are rotating the Legacy of focusing. So like we might be getting even new things for Legacy focusing. So make sure that if you haven't got a good Hero's Burden or a Wisdom Rebuke and you want them, make sure that you play Iron Banner for those weapons. If you haven't got the shader, if you haven't gotten certain armor pieces you want, if you haven't gotten certain guns you want, make sure that you farm Iron Banner this week. More than likely, it's going to be Fortress because we had normal Iron Banner or original Iron Banner, then Eruption. We're probably going to have Fortress. You're going to see nonsense ahoy. So like there's going to be Bubble Titans and then people using the Raid Shotgun to break Bubble Titans, and it's just going to be a weird freaking time. So get ready for that. Then from there, they talked about some of the stuff they already addressed. They did talk about some of the issues they having. The big thing that they sort of reflected on from yesterday is not only are we getting new reticle changes, where now you'll be able to change the color of the hip fire reticle, but also the ADS reticle to help with colorblind issues. We are getting full auto melee changes, so people with disabilities can have full auto melees now. That they are going to be changing subtitle colors, which is awesome. They are going to be adding new color systems with colorblind for accommodations, which is great. So definitely peek that. We finally got a in-game picture of the last exotic vote, which was Arbalest. So they revealed what it's going to look like. We will be getting it at the launch of season 21, which is dope. I think it's very Neo Muno themed, so we should have got it sooner, but it takes time to develop, which is fine.
Yep.
Now, listeners, let's have a conversation. The next vote, the next exotic ornament vote, which if you weren't here for the last one, they had 3 different exotics that you could vote on. That would be the next ornament that would be designed. And then later on, they had a designer from the community design 3 different ornaments that you could pick from. We now know the 3 different exotics that are up for vote to have new ornaments. We have Witherhorde.
Better be Starfire.
We have Witherhorde. We have Thunderlord, and we have Izanagi's Burden. Now,
y'all better be voting Thunderlord.
Thunderlord
is an ornament.
Thunderlord is the best choice in my opinion, because Izanagi has had several different ornaments. The best one being the like Cloud Strife Final Fantasy one. So Izanagi's is not really in need of a new ornament. Thunderlord, on the other hand, definitely deserves a new ornament. We had the sort of like Cloud Strike looking one recently, but in terms of like, especially now with Thunderlord being meta, it feels like it's its time to shine. Witherhorde has like 6 or like 5, so like we're not worried about Witherhorde right now, because you have like the base one, you have the one that was in the battle pass, you have the solstice one, you have the wood one, you have the like the one that looks like literally hive bones. That's like 4 or 5. So like we're not worried about Witherhorde. Thunderlord desperately deserves a new ornament. So everybody vote Thunderlord. Team Thunderlord is in the house.
Thunderlord. Yes.
I said Izzy on my Twitter, but I'm gonna fix that. Thunderlord deserves to win. So we're gonna so Team Thunderlord is from Cosmodrome Radio up in this mug. So definitely vote for that. Now, Bungie, can we start voting on exotic armor pieces, please? Because Peregrine Greaves and Teus Ward's
Powerfire and Phoenix both need
like there's so many exotics that
Swarmers
desperately
needs an ornament. I don't care that it's
Swarmers
new.
just got here.
No,
I don't care that
Starfire
it's new. It is nasty looking.
Starfire is getting nerfed. Starfire is getting nerfed. It doesn't deserve one. Ashen Wake needs one.
It has been proven.
Peregrine Greaves need one. And Teus Wards need one. Like, there's a lot of things that we need to address when it comes to ornaments. But Starfire deserves one, but it's getting nerfed, so no one cares.
Yeah, that's why we deserve one. Is it's getting nerfed.
But it's been overpowered for so long. It deserves to die. Like, it's fine.
No, it's still gonna be good.
Now.
You don't even use Starfire. What are you talking about, Tower?
I don't, but I still feel for my fellow warlocks who do. Come on now.
Because it pretty much all the nerf is in the time it takes to generate 4 grenades, it's going to turn into 1.
Right.
Yeah,
like, it's still going to be good, but not as prominent.
Yeah. It'll definitely be a deserved nerf, in my opinion, because I will stand on my ground that some people would not have completed the world's first race if it weren't for Starfire Protocol, and I will die on that hill. So that is pretty much the show. We have a couple of listener questions that we want to address real quick. Let me go ahead and dive into these real quick. So, Punk asked a question of I want to know your take. Are GMs too easy, and what are your opinions of the Cypher system that are coming? We talked about the Cypher system that's coming for exotics previously, but in terms of the GMs, so I've officially done Proving Grounds. Glassway is next week, and we are currently dealing with Mars Battlegrounds. As we already kind of prepped for, even with the changes to the difficulty, GMs were not changed. Yeah. So with the situation with Mars Battlegrounds specifically, that thing is hell. Like, if you look at the list of GMs across the board, especially with the surge and threat changes that have come with the new difficulty system, Proving Grounds is a joke. Like, as long as you pay attention and don't be Panda and think you can walk up to the boss with the glaive when you're out of shield and think you're going to tank anything. It's a funny story. Panda forgot to refill his shield ammo on his glaive before going into the boss fight. So I'm over here like, and I got fucking blasted.
Then
it cost us the whole run because Alchemy and our third were trying to save us and they couldn't save me.
Oh no!
So don't be like Panda, but in general, Proving Grounds used to be one of the hardest GMs in the history of the game. But now with
it's a joke.
I wouldn't say it's a joke. I think it's more manageable because it very much is in line with sort of like Glassway now, where if you do what you're supposed to do, you get the job done. Versus when Proving Grounds first came out, it was on like sort of the level of Light Blade, where Light Blade would still just one shot you and you don't understand why. But like now with Proving Grounds, if you do what you're supposed to do, you're probably not gonna die. That's where I think every GM should be, not horribly hard to where it's unattainable. Like if I'm behind cover in a GM like Light Blade, a freaking a Hive Guardian shouldn't have better tracking on their frisbees than I do as on a Void Titan. I'm just saying. Like if I'm behind like 3 walls and somehow a frisbee hits me, but I can't hit somebody in PvP with a frisbee, we have problems. That's all I'm saying. But in general, I think Proving Grounds is in a good spot. Mars Battleground is horrible to the point that people are literally having to like stand in cheese spots just to kill Kelgaroth. I think it's horribly ironic that Bungie made one of the like most jokingly funny Hive Knights in the lore be one of the toughest GMs ever. Yeah. Because if you read the lore on Judgment of Kelgaroth, like the glaive, it talks about how we fought this dude like 3 different times. He was like the main boss in the Season of the Hunt DLC, and like we fought him a couple of the times, and his evil wrath keeps resurrecting him to fight us. And we even took his glaive. That's why we have Judgment of Kelgaroth. So like it's real funny to me that Bungie straight up just said, "Hey yo, we're gonna make Kelgaroth a bad bitch just for GMs." And I'm like, okay, that's fun. So,
GMs are like, if I remember correctly, Bungie has said GM's difficulty is what like in-lord Guardians have to deal with.
Right, which is fine. I'm down with the difficulty of it, but when there's certain things in the Mars Battleground where it feels almost unattainable, that's a problem. Like Light Blade's still kind of tough, but we've worked out everything except for the like screed field how to manage it. Glassway, if you play smart, you win. Proving Grounds, if you play smart, you win. Like the only GMs at this point that I think are a nightmare are this one, Corrupted, and Exodus Black. If you're not like used to it, because that final boss is a nightmare. Like you have nowhere to go, you have nowhere to stand. It's just stand behind the box, put down a bubble in a well, and pray. And that shouldn't be how a GM should be. Like I think Bungie found the perfect like synergy of what a strike GM should be with Glassway. I think Glassway and I think Light Blade, except for the screen field, are like perfect, but specifically Glassway, where the difficulty is tuned the right way. Each encounter feels hard. If you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're going to get one shot. Like to this day, the funniest thing is when a Tracer Shank or a Vandal just one shot you, or I can't think. The basic Craig is one. The Dreg, when a Dreg just walks up and one slaps you, it's the funniest thing. Like that's what the difficulty should be. If you're cutting up and not doing what you're supposed to be doing, I think you should lose it. But if it's just unattainable, like Light Blade and certain things with them Hive Guardians, that's bull. Like there should not be just like, oops, you died to a mechanic that you had no control over. Like That's frustrating to me. But I don't know if y'all like Alchemy. I don't know if you have any opinions on like the current situation of GMs.
I honestly think they're in a good spot, except for Mars Battleground, because hell, I did a HyperNet, and honestly, it feels like it's in the right spot.
That's good. Okay. Then David asked, he wants to his like our opinion on the current like loot incentives and rewards in the game, because like FOMO and like god roll chasing can be very like time consuming and annoying, and there's certain things like Final Fantasy 14 that have like better models. So I think Bungie is in the right direction with like the exotic system they're rolling out. I think the cost is a little extreme, but like I think Bungie will retune that as time goes on. I think this season specifically, Bungie is in the right direction when it comes to things like legacy focusing. I think Bungie needs to do a better job of explaining to newer players that just because you're doing a Legend Nightfall and a Master Nightfall and you're not strong enough and skilled enough to do a GM yet, doesn't mean the weapons you're getting from the Legend or Master are lesser than the Adept. Yes, do the Adepts have just a tiny bit better stats? Yes. But if I get a crap roll of a hung jury Adept and you get the god roll of a regular hung jury, you're doing better than me. I think Bungie needs to work on explaining that, because there's a lot of people who feel like Bungie gatekept GMs to the point they had to like lower the power level of entry. So I feel like Bungie needs to do a better job of explaining that the loot you're getting is worth it. And then in certain cases, when you're running through strikes, when you do a strike and you get like no loot, that's one of the worst feelings on the face of the earth. Like, you should be able to get a roll of like the strike specific weapon like every time. Like right now with PvP, you get an autumn wind every round. Why isn't that like that with strikes? Like, can we?
Why isn't it like that with Lost? Like, you can run hours and hours and hours of Legend Lost sectors and run them solo, trying to get the new exotic or any exotic, and like 9 times out of 10, all you're getting is like an enhancement core and some glimmer. That it's been like that since Beyond Light. Like, I don't even know if I told you guys about this, but I spent I spent so much time in one Legend Lost sector trying to get Dawn Chorus that I stopped counting how many runs I did, and I started counting days in that Lost sector. And that was when Lost sectors were, it was on a weekly rotation rather than a daily rotation. So I spent 4 days in a Lost sector trying to get Dawn Chorus.
So here's my compromise with Lost sectors now that we're getting the exotic focusing system. I think specifically, especially because each exotic focusing is going to be like an exotic engram plus like ciphers and ascendant shards and things like that. I think as long as you hit the platinum and as long as you like do it without wasting like every one of your lives, I think you should be guaranteed an exotic engram every time you finish a Lost sector.
Yeah.
Because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in that Lost sector. Like, they even did the same thing with GMs, where as long as you get the platinum, you get the adept weapon. So it should be the same thing as Lost sectors, where if you hit every mark that you're supposed to, you should get the reward. Doesn't mean it's going to be what you want it to be, because now with the new system, you get an engram, but at least you'll be able to stack up engrams for when you want to go see the kiosk or whatever and go and get that. And also,
at the very least, getting that exotic, getting that engram, and I totally agree with you. Just kind of expanding on it, because this is something that we've actually talked about in Kaz's stream. Is that they should drop, as long as you're doing everything right, you're not you're hitting all of your your encounters correctly, you're getting all of your all of your champions down. it doesn't matter if it's like a 46 roll of the new, legs or chest or arms or whatever. The fact of the matter is it should unlock that. And maybe every, 5 or 10 attempts afterwards, then you get a better roll, like a 65 roll, or,
because the one thing,
a focused roll based on your ghost mod or whatever.
Because
the initial one should unlock it just to put it in your loot pool to begin with.
Because the one thing that we're seeing across the board right now is there's people who don't have Omni Oculus, don't have Curious of the Falling Star, don't have Loreley. And it's mainly because of the fact that they're not ready to do the solo Legend Master experience. And they're missing out on the ability to help people in raids. And granted, they should and here's the one thing that I keep trying to tell every casual player for Destiny, and what I keep emphasizing with the clan is I don't care if an exotic has a trash roll on it. If it's the only one you have, you keep that. And then once you get a better roll, you get a better roll of it, and then you delete the old one. You don't just ignore the fact that you don't have a good roll, because A, you can pull it from collections and get a worse roll, and that would be annoying to you. But B, if you don't have the exotic, what happens if we pull up in Atrax and there's 4 Titans, and I'm like, hey, y'all got Curious? No. Why? I deleted it. Or you could be like Alchemy right before rockets are busted and delete a God roll Hothead Adept. And,
yeah.
And he's like, I don't have a Hothead. So it's
more slippers thrown at you, boy. Jesus.
I feel like we're just bullying Alchemy the whole show, but it's just that's what I mean. You want to be able to be an asset for your team. So if Bungie makes it so lost, I'm not saying lower the difficulty. No, lost are supposed to be a challenge. But if you work your butt off to attain it and you kill every chance, especially I know with them raising the difficulty. Because even after they lowered the difficulty recently, I went into the Perdition Law Sector, something that previously, before they upped the difficulty, I remember when, what was it, season of, whatever season it was when No Backup Plans came back. No Backup Plans is my favorite D1 exotic. I used to love those arms. They used to put in so much work for me. And I would use them in PvE, not even in PvP. And the minute I saw those things came back, I stayed up all night low power with Lament and a pulse rifle. And I sat in Perdition and ran it 20 times until I got it.
Mm-hmm.
I was low light in Master doing that. Now I can barely get through Legend to get the new stupid ice helmet. And that sucks. So if I kill every stupid hobgoblin that has a torch hammer when it shouldn't have a torch hammer, I should be able to get the stupid exotic. Even if it's a shit roll, I should be able to get the exotic. That's my philosophy. Because if a new player rolls up into Destiny and they're like, I'm a Titan, I'm doing good work, I want to do a raid, I'm gonna get Curious of the Falling Star on chest day. I ask somebody what build I should run. I run the specific build. That way I have overload and anti-barrier. I kill everything. I open the chest. I get nothing. Not even an enhancement core. How demoralizing is that? How much does that suck?
It is.
RNGesus is a horrible thing. So if you at least get a roll, even if it's a crap roll, especially because there's so many exotics in the loot pool. If you get a crap roll of an exotic, at least you got the exotic. That's my philosophy.
The other thing they should do is because I know they said that you're supposed to, once you unlock the new what the fuck? Once you unlock the expansion exotics, those should be prioritized for exotic engrams, because like I said, I spent 4 days trying to get Dawn Course, and when I finally did, it took another 1.5 years before I got another Dawn Course, and that was only because it was a freaking exotic drop from Xur in my dares rank.
Dang.
Yes. I have they said after you unlock the the expansion exotics, they're supposed to be in your loot pool now.
Right. In terms of
that's lie detector said that was a fucking lie.
To address the rest of David's question, I think Bungie is on the right track. Like I was saying about legacy focusing, I think every gun that is not currently that is not at a vendor that currently was available with a vendor, that needs to go there. Like with Iron Banner, there's things like Steady Hand. There's things like Multi-Mock that are still really good. Like you still see hunters with like the Monarch and Steady Hand doing work. And people are like, where can I get that?
Yeah.
Well, you can't get it right now. Or like when they rolled out Legacy Focusing this season with Trials, this should have been the season where Messenger, Summoner, Igneous Hammer, the Rocket Launcher, Scholar, all these weapons re-enter the loot pool. That way, A, more people had a Void Rocket Launcher besides Red Herring and like bad omens. B, more people would have Solar Scar with Chain Reaction, which would be great for things like GMs for Solar Burn.
And also Unstoppable Sword.
Overload sword right now.
Overload sword.
I don't know why I said unstoppable.
But or like for like GMs, more people would have like a great arc auto rifle that has disruption break and one for all like shadow price. PvP people would be able to get palindrome at least as a regular role, because right now in PvP you have people using 140s like palindrome, like Austringer and whatnot, and there's people going, well, I can't get an Austringer because Bungie didn't put it with legacy focusing. So I think Bungie needs to put everything that now, granted, if there's a situation like now where Wisdom Rebuke and Hero's Burden are leaving, give it a season. Like, give it a season, let it exit, and then put it back. Like, that should be the system. And once it's in there, it don't leave legacy focusing. It stays in legacy focusing. Like, give it a season, give them a little bit of FOMO, and then put it back. Like, that's how it should be. And then in terms of like other things like armor, my heart goes out to so many newer players, like so many new lights who just don't have the ability to go to 801 and get a Synthweave bounty and get a Synthweave bounty. And then there's like nothing in their armor to buy. Like that has to be the most demoralizing feeling. Like if I could go back and buy the Season of the Dawn ornaments, like for money, I would. And I would never take them off. Like there's certain things like old seasons where like there's old seasonal armor that, because granted, Bungie has kind of gotten good with like everything since Beyond Light rotating in. Like you see the Wild Hunt armor and like certain things like that, but they could do so much more. You could do so much more. You could put old Battle Pass ornaments in the shop and people could buy them. You could just say, hey, yo, $25. People would buy it. Like all these like Titans that want that banana helmet from Season of the Chosen, $20. Bet. Like you could do that, and they're not doing that. They're just sitting in the code, and no one can get them, and that sucks. Yeah. So that's my big thing in terms of FOMO is like fix the ornament situation for newer players. Bring back old Battle Pass sets, put them in the shop. Because what are they doing? Where were they at? In the code, doing nothing? Like, come on, like put them back. So yeah, like more legacy focusing, fix armor and ornaments. That's what I say to that. And then Pong asked another question. Since the update to primaries, do you think they will be used more? We already kind of saw an uptick with primary uses. Like, yeah, in some like GM content, you saw like double special, and like certain raids you saw double special, but like Osteo Striga has been kicking butt. Like ever since Lightfall, when Quicksilver Storm became Strand, it was kicking butt. Now it's just going to do more damage. Like Outbreak Perfected is still a monster for Anti-Barrier Pulse. It's still a monster. Somebody did tell me, and I'm about to go check it out after the podcast. Apparently, Symmetry is kicking butt. And if Symmetry is kicking butt, I'm about to be happy as hell. Now, Bungie, can Symmetry get Jolt? please.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because if
Symmetry?
because if you're gonna buff
you
Symmetry,
insane?
you better give me Joel on Symmetry.
Bro, you are insane.
Like, if you're gonna buff Symmetry, you better give me something to do with Symmetry, is all I'm saying. Right. But in general, I think primaries were already in a good place. Now you're just gonna see more prevalence of primaries in terms. I think you're gonna see auto rifle usage go up. I think auto rifle usage is gonna go up because for a long time, even with PvP and PvE, no one's been using ARs like at all. So I think the AR usage is gonna rise. I think scout rifle usage is gonna go higher than it already was, which is already in a great place. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited to go try out Symmetry. But those were all of our questions. Don't forget that, folks, that you can join the Discord. If you don't want to join the clan, you can still be a fan of the show. You can still participate and ask your question to get it aired on the show each week. So make sure that if you want to join the community, join the Cosmodrome Radio community, hang out in the Discord. The Discord link is on the Twitter. The Discord link is in the show notes. Make sure that you join the Discord. That way you are able to be part of things. If you're looking for a clan, if you need a queer safe clan, a black-led clan, somewhere to exist, be safe, hang out, come join the clan. Clan Transmit will be there for you, and we will get you through content. We just got 3 dudes div on Tuesday. So, like, come hang out.
Yeah.
I'm doing another div run tomorrow. Like, come hang out. We want you to be a part of this community. So please come out, hang out. If you need a home, we got you. So that's what I said there. Don't forget, folks, that you can listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Audible. Wherever you can listen to a show besides SoundCloud, we got you. So check it out. And then also follow us on Twitter at Cosmodrome Radio. We want to boost the followers out. We want to roll out merch close to June. So more support is something we want to make happen. So try to let's just start showing more support, people. We want to hear you listen to the show. We want to get you part of the community. Definitely check us out. We want to have more guests. If there is a guest, there's a streamer that you want to have us have on, let us know. We want to get them on the show to talk to them about the game that we all love. Alchemy, you ain't said much. What's your closing statement?
That this new season, the new buffs that happened, and the nerf, which I'm kind of sad about.
What nerf?
It's going to be the Starfire nerf that's going to happen.
It needed to happen.
Yeah, I know.
You know it needed to happen.
I know. But it's going to be fun, and also just have fun, and don't break NDAs or someone will sue your ass.
Tower, what's your closing statement for this episode?
Thunderlord supremacy. Vote Thunderlord for the new ornament. Or I will throw chocolates at you, I swear to God.
All right.
Well, what's yours, Panda?
My closing statement is Thunderlord supremacy. Vote for Thunderlord. But also, Bungie, please let me have the Season of the Dawn ornaments. I will give you money. I will literally. I want the ornaments. I want the Saint 14 head bash finisher. I will pay you money. I will pay you money.
Literally,
I feel
both
like
of us
Josh,
have it.
I paid money for it.
Like I feel like Josh Peck. I will give you $10. Like, give me the thing. I will give you $20, $30. You literally could like charge an uptick. Like, this isn't like a situation where you guys like gave everyone Red War and Curse of Osiris and Warmind for free. You could literally give people these old ornaments and these old finishers and say, hey, give us $10, give us $20, $30, and people will buy them. So let us
put it up for silver, yo.
Yeah.
Like, let us
put it
do
up
it
for silver.
But we will catch you, everybody. Star sign. We will see you next week. Peace out.